Good evening. Hope this finds you faring well. I'm going with well tonight. Tonight I wanted to talk about a couple things. There's one thing I just want to touch on real quickly. I don't have nearly enough data to talk about it from an educational point of view because it's things that are just starting to leak out. But a few hours ago I did read that a couple of the big banks are starting to tighten up some of their mortgage restrictions, or I should say mortgage criteria. Like I said, I don't have enough information to really talk about it sensibly quite yet, and it is something that I'll absolutely circle back and talk about. But I did want to put it out there that we are seeing this is different than the jumbo stuff we talked about. This is different than the FHA. Some of the bigger lenders are discussing or putting in place some bigger down payments, some higher credit expectations, just some different search criteria. So the reason I want to bring it up right now, even though I don't have all the information, which I think everybody will tell you, never bring up anything that you don't have all the information. I just simply want to direct the people that are active in the market right now. If you wrote an offer today, if you're writing an offer tomorrow, if you're writing an offer on Monday, before I might have all of the complete data on this, make sure you circle back with your lender, just because I think it's really important to make sure that your qualification and your pre-approval is still as strong as it was, and that you're not going to have any complications or issues on that front. But what I did want to talk about a little bit more in depth tonight was a question that I keep getting, and I've gotten pretty regularly now as we move farther along into this. And it's one that I'm going to keep encouraging to come as an individual question, but I wanted to just address it a little bit more and talk about a different component of it. But I have quite a few people that are coming to me and saying, Amanda, is this a good time for us to sell or to consider selling? And as I've said before, this is a case-by-case scenario. It depends on what somebody has to sell, kind of what the home is. It also depends on what their big picture is, what they're looking to accomplish. If I know more about what they're looking to sell and what their big picture is, then I can absolutely advise on, does this year make sense? Does later this year make sense? Does next year make sense? Does the whole idea just not make sense at all? I can give some much better feedback and strategy if I know all the components. So once again, if you are considering selling, either reach out to me if I'm not your real estate advisor and you have somebody else that you go back to, absolutely reach out to them, talk to them about what you're looking to accomplish, and collectively decide on the pros and cons of it. The piece I wanted to tap in a little bit more specifically about tonight, because I started to notice a trend in the way people were thinking, is I had a bunch of people that were reaching out and then kind of saying, okay, well, we'll put this aside, and when all of this gets behind us, then we'll start considering it a little bit more seriously, which once again is an absolutely fine way to handle it. The piece that I wanted to alert people to was the duration of time it takes to get a home ready for sale. The fact of the matter is I would say on average it takes my clients between, I'd say, 2 weeks to 3 months to get their home ready to be on the market, depending on what needs to be done, what level of clutter needs to be undone, and just overall what needs to happen prior to it going on the market. So the reason I think that this is important to note, we obviously don't know when exactly all of this is going to start to release and when the social distancing guidelines are going to start to loosen. But we do know that we have a lot of confidence that quite a few of our markets are going to perform fairly successfully as we come out of that. And with that being said, if we consider on average that it takes between 2 weeks and 3 months to get homes ready for sale, I'm encouraging a lot of my clients specifically to start those conversations now, because I do think it's going to be in quite a few people's best interest to be very ready for when the social distancing restrictions start to loosen up. We are expecting a little bit of surge in some of our markets, and I do think that will be a time that, I think a lot of people will just be sitting and waiting. So I think that there will be some good opportunities at that point in time. So what I wanted people to take away from this was just understanding that I do think that it's an appropriate time. If the thought is going through your head, it's a good time to have a discussion to figure out, A, whether or not it's something that makes sense for what you're looking to accomplish, and B, whether or not it makes sense to get at any level the ball rolling, because the process can be a little bit longer than other people think. So that was one of the takeaways I really wanted people to take away tonight. The other one, just kind of circling back very briefly on the mortgage front, there are some criteria changes coming from certain lenders, so that if you are in the midst of writing an offer or close to writing an offer, I would absolutely encourage that you circle back with your lender just to make sure everything is very sealed up and looking good. If you are an agent watching this that has recently received an offer from me in the last 24 hours, please rest assured we've already talked to our lenders about that and we are all good. So on that note, be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. I'm so proud of how we're moving through this. This is something that is really big and really traumatic, and I think as a whole we're doing a great job as a country. I'm looking forward to getting through this with everybody, and I have no idea when that's actually going to be, but I do know that now we are one day closer. So I am looking forward to getting another day closer with you guys. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, and just have a great evening.